to summer.
Summer!
You're gonna love this easy and delicious summer recipe.
Yes, it's made with just 3 ingredients, and the star of the show is mint. We grow mint all over the place here in the summer. It grows so well, and there's just so much of it on our homestead. We want to take advantage of that, and this recipe is just so cool and refreshing. Of course, it's July now, midsummer, so it's perfect for your block parties, your family reunions, burgers on the grill. It goes great with all that, and it's so easy.
If you don't grow mint, that's okay. You can buy it and make it, but we're gonna take you back to the point at which Dan started making this earlier today.
A couple of years ago, a dear family that we know introduced us to a recipe using mint as like a base for an iced tea, and it was really, really tasty. So we started growing our own mint, and you can see it grows really quickly, and it grows really profusely. This is spearmint, but you could use peppermint or any other type of mint that would grow in your herb garden or that would be available in the grocery store. We're going to harvest it, and then we're going to make the tea. It's super easy to make. This mint gets really long and leggy, and some of the leaves get a little older as they grow out. So it's best, if you can, to try to keep it harvested quite often. We can make this drink just about every day in the summer because of the amount of speed that this grows with. But what I'd like to show is cutting some of the younger shoots. Some of the younger leaves actually taste a little better. So if you need to have a real good quality drink, you want to cut leaves that are toward the bottom and the base and are covered maybe and shaded a little bit, because those are going to be the most tender ones. When you harvest mint, you want to try to harvest in the morning if you're able, because that's when the oils are the best. Now, you sometimes can't be picky, so if you do cut an older one, that's fine as well. Just try to keep it cut back. But again, this will grow really fast, and you'll be able to harvest quite often, even a couple times a week, a big batch.
I love the smell of mint in the summer. It's so cool and refreshing. So this is what we've harvested. This is the amount that I usually harvest for about 6 quarts of our mint iced tea. And you can see that it looks like basically a big handful. Well, it's not an exact science. I pick enough where I know that it'll be enough to flavor a good amount of water. And we have an 8-quart pot to be able to use for that. Fortunately for us, we have lots of mint. It grows abundantly so that we can be quite profuse in our use of this. And if you have a friend who has, you can also use theirs. Farmers markets are a great resource to be able to get a big bunch. But if your only recourse is to get the grocery store, which is typically those little boxes of mint, then you may want to cut back on your water. What I would say is one of those boxes probably would flavor about a quart. And that's the amount you'd want to use to start. And then you can work back from there. Fortunately for us, we've got a lot of this. And what we'll do next is process the mint by washing it down, making sure there aren't any bugs or any dirt or anything like that. And then we'll go ahead and we'll pull the leaves off. I've washed this mint a little bit just under the hose in our sink. It's okay if you want to rough up your mint a little bit. It won't hurt. Most herbs are like that. In fact, as we add this to the pot, we'll want to be a little rough with it. We want these leaves to be bruised because those oils then will start getting out into the water. Now, one of the most satisfying things about making mint tea and harvesting the mint is actually taking the leaves off of these stems. I don't recommend to put the full stem in your water when you boil, but instead take your hand and hold that mint stem upright and then pull down on the leaves toward the base. And what it will happen is they will start snapping off, and you will have mostly the leaves, a little bit of the stems where the leaves meet the stem, but then you'll have this big piece here that you can discard. And I really enjoy doing this. Some people kind of liken this to snapping beans in the summer or something. It's just a summer activity where you can take these stems and quickly just run down the stem and pull these leaves off. Very satisfying to me. I'll take care of all of these. The next step then will be to put these into our boiling water. The leaves are now pulled off the stems, and you'll want to find little leaves like this that are brown or yellow and are dying. I'll just pull those aside, do a visual check to make sure that everything else looks good and healthy. At this time, we're ready to go. They've been washed, they've been plucked, and we'll put them in the water. First thing I'll do before putting them in the water though, is I'll do a little bit of a squeeze on these leaves. Like I said before, rough them up, because you'll start to actually smell on your hands the scent of the mint, and that will work its way into the water better as it is boiling. So doing a little bit of that will really help. Bruising those up will help that. So let's go ahead and put that in the water now. I've been warming up 6 quarts of water on the stove, and it will get to boiling here in a minute. We've put our leaves in the water. I use a wooden spoon to just stir that around, make sure they're all submerged. Now, one thing that some people get confused when we're talking about tea is that tea doesn't always necessarily mean tea leaves. Any herb or plant material that you boil in water in order to extract the goodness of it, the nutrients or the flavor or anything like that, is considered tea. So you can really make a lot of different herbs tea. When people do herbal teas, sometimes it has no tea in it at all when we consider black tea or green tea or something like that. So this is considered a tea, but more of a medicinal or an herbal type tea. We'll leave this on the stove for 15 minutes. Once it starts boiling, start your countdown for 15 minutes. You'll want a consistent roiling boil, and then turn the heat off after 15 minutes. We'll come back and we'll show you how to filter it. All right, our 15 minutes is up. We have a beautiful tea. I can't wait to see it. I have turned down the heat to a medium high in the meantime. And I've also added a lid. If you have a pot with a lid, those are the best kind to use for your tea, because you see the steam coming up here, and if you don't have a lid, that will be a lot of water you're losing. Of course, that's the liquid that you'll want to drink later. I'm gonna put this over here, and let's look down and see what our tea looks like. I'm turning this off. It's a beautiful brownish green color, tea color. Bring it off of the heat, and we can see that it looks really healthy. The leaves have wilted a little bit, and they've gotten a little bit discolored. They aren't as green anymore because that material, that chlorophyll, all of that goodness has gone into the water. That's exactly what you want to see. Now, we'll let this sit for a little bit. We want to put the sugar in when it's still warm, but we don't want this to be so hot when we put our tea into a container that it will break the container. I usually use a glass container, so I need this to be hotter than room temperature, but not boiling hot, okay, for the glass to be able to not shatter. It's been about 30 minutes, and the tea is now cool enough for me to pour into my glass container. I have poured the first half in through this metal strainer, and you can see the leaves of the tea, or of the mint, are drying out here a little bit. I can push down with my wooden spoon to get the last of the water out of there. And you want to do that because that's nice concentrated tea. And I'll set that aside. You can see this is a nice warm brown color, a honey color, and it's warm still. Really nice and warm. This is the perfect time to add your sugar. Now, you add sugar to taste. I like mine very sweet, southern sweet tea. I usually use 1.5 cups in a 6-quart batch of this. So because I've used half of it, I'm going to put 3/4 cup in each container. And it helps so much to be able, when you pour that sugar in there, to have it warm, because it will dissolve very well. I love the tea just like this, where it has come off of the stove and it is fresh and warm and sweet. This isn't even cool yet, but it's so good. I just had to have a glass. You know, it's not really refreshing right now, but this tea, after it's cooled and when it's put on ice, just changes the complexity of a hot summer afternoon, and it can really make your day. There are a couple of variations to this tea that you might want to consider. One of them is, instead of just the 3 ingredients, water and tea and sugar, add a little citrus flavor to it, or garnish with some more mint, fresh mint, and you'll definitely get a little zing with that. Another thing that we do here at our homestead, and it's not the cool summer drink variation, but we use this as a base for hot tea. In the spring and in the fall, we will drink some hot tea, and our mint is growing in our beds. In the spring, it's starting to grow fresh and new with nice young leaves. And in the fall, we want to harvest the rest of it at the end of the season. It's a perfect time for us to kind of store some of this up in the fridge. And what I do is I pour some in a cup, and then I will use it as the base for my tea bag. I'll put a tea bag in there, and when I heat my water up for my tea, I'll use this instead of the water. So I have the sweetness, I have the mint, and then I have my tea bag or my loose leaf tea that I put in that, and it really makes a wonderful hot drink. Of course, this video is about the coolness and the refreshment of having it in the summer, and it really is great. It will be a fantastic addition to your backyard barbecue, your July 4th celebration, or a neighborhood block party, or just if you want to sit on the front porch and enjoy the hot afternoons in the shade. But I hope this really helped you and gave you a great inspiration for your summer. From our homestead to yours, blessings.